Welcome back to this brand new episode of Let's Play Super Meat World. Into this video, we're gonna tackle our first official Team Meat chapter entitled Butcher Boy. And holy shit, it actually appeared onto the recommended chapters list. This is a milestone to celebrate, folks. So Butcher Boy was the first chapter to be released by Team Meat through their level distribution service, which was entitled The Internet, which pretty much was a way to put user levels on the Xbox 360 version of the game, and all that without patching the game, without having to send any kind of a probation to Xbox Live Arcade in order for them to send a new level, without having to charge other people for these levels, so all of these levels will remain freeware until the very end, and all that while using a loophole into the Xbox Live Arcade's rules and regulations or anything. And unfortunately, you can see that all of the levels that were born from this service, unfortunately, are not that good, as you can see. I have to say, as far as official level goes, this is probably the poorest one of the entire game. I mean, I'm really glad that this level was not into the actual game, because, I mean, come on, there's not any challenge or any kind of fun. You basically just trudge through all of this thing, hoping that eventually it will end. It's like a full minute without any kind of obstacles to go through, so yeah, good job on the design, guys. And what happened there? Oh great, the game crashed. You have to get used to that, because you'll see that quite a bit. I mean, usually it's not too bad, because I usually can play through most episodes without having any crashes, or in the worst, I'll have one crash, but not everybody has the same chance that I do. And, well, if you're running Super Meat World without having Steam open, then Super Meat World is pretty much unplayable, because beating a level will result in about 50% chance of the game crashing upon finishing any level. I really have no clue why having Steam open or not makes a huge difference on the game's stability, because, I don't know, maybe you need Steam in order to vote on levels, and maybe this is why it crashes? I really have no clue. I'm just randomly guessing things up, if only because I want to try to find a reason why this crashes so often, but yeah, this is pretty much just pure hypothesis. There's absolutely nothing that I'm saying right now which is absolutely funded, so take this with a grain of salt. So most of these levels feel just like the Warp Zone levels into the game, only though that the difficulty seem to be kinda higher than most other levels into the game. And this level does an incredibly good job of deceiving you, if only because it seems so complicated, but just simply running into the hallway makes it so that there's absolutely no problems at all. But as a general rule of thumb, I usually find most of the levels into this chapter to be rather bland. Either the levels are pretty interesting like this one, I mean, I don't know, it's a pretty cool timing puzzle that you have going here, but some of the levels, like the one that involve digging, are just really dumb. Oh, speaking of dumb, why? Why does this level exist? Like the title of this level says, you could beat this level with only one hand. Hell, you don't even need to push the jump button in order to finish this level at all. It's just... wow. What the hell were they thinking with this one level? It only got 2 stars, if only because it looks nice, but other than that, I really have nothing to praise about this one level. And this one level is also kind of bad. I mean, there were levels like this in Toast Salt Factory. I'm talking about level 3-8, but at least they feature actual decoration and looks that made it look incredibly nice and kind of fulfilling to go through, but levels like these usually just feel pretty dull, if only because there's not a whole lot that meets the eye, and the overall gameplay is kind of lackluster too. And of course, I'm not saying that because I can't make this jump up there for some reason. It's a good thing that I'm not doing those levels for the part-time, because, well, I was kind of more than 50% behind the actual time that I needed to meet. But come on, I needed to find a way to make this level feel more interesting. I don't know, Butcher Boy feels like the chapter that they made in order to try and experiment with some things that they could do into the Warp Zone levels, but were not good enough to make it into the actual game, if only because most of the quality that you find into these levels kind of feel lackluster. But this level, however, has a pretty interesting gimmick, if only because it's a choose-your-own adventure path. Will you be waiting for the platforms to carry you through the level while you're jumping through the spikes, or you're simply going through the way that the conveyor belts are going? It's your pick. And yeah, if you're having trouble doing those jumps, just do what I'm doing, if only because it will give you the required amount of control in order to do these jumps without banging your head on the ceiling and simply dropping down like a rock. And it feels as if they wanted you to play the level this way, if only because, well, of the part-time, because even though I took the short version of the level, I only was like 1 second behind the part-time. While the other route is a whole lot faster, I also like doing the conveyor belt route, if only because, well, you have to be precise with your jumps, but you also have to be fast enough so that you don't get carried away. Okay, no, it's not possible to make it there in time, unless that you're doing the jump from the very first platform. This is pretty much the only way that you'll get the part-time. The concept for this level seemed fun enough, but unfortunately I don't think it was executed well enough in order to be interesting, if only because the level really feels way too easy, and also the decoration is so empty, there's really not a whole lot going there. I mean, you've got a decrepit factory at the bottom of your screen and then nothing else into your Nintendo. On a gameplay standpoint, this is by far my favorite level of the entire chapter. It's incredibly simple, but at the same time, it's also incredibly frantic and hair-raising. And it's also pretty damn hard, too. I mean, the Subblade launchers are pretty predictable, but at the same time, because they're not always at the same distance than you, they become entirely unpredictable, and your jumping pretty much all becomes reflex-based instead of being based around timing. It can be pretty hard to think straight whenever you're playing this level, as you'll see pretty soon. While the difficulty setting of this chapter is hard, but not too difficult, there are 2 levels into this chapter which end up kicking my ass really bad, and this is one of them. The other one is upcoming really soon, if I remember pretty well. Yeah, it's been some time since we saw a whole lot of meats into Super Meat World, and don't worry, the number of meats will increase as we go on. Oh yeah, this is the other level which also caused me a whole lot of trouble. And the worst thing is, on my practice run for this level, I ended up beating this level on my first try, but yeah, nothing seems to work anymore here. But yeah, I am practicing for these levels, if only because it's finally mandatory here, mainly on the grounds that I haven't played these levels since forever. Ever since Super Meat World launched, in fact, so I need practice in order to pull off these jumps. And it's especially tricky because they've saved the worst obstacle of the entire level for last. I mean, this one jump is especially cruel. Your jumping has to be perfect in order to make it through these gaps. In fact, yeah, the other gap right after that is almost the same, but it's even narrower because, well, the spikes are much closer to each other instead of the ones which are pretty wide. At least I really enjoy the gimmick behind this level. In fact, most of the levels have pretty nice gimmicks into this one chapter, but the levels that are constructed, unfortunately, do not feel as good and don't play as well. I mean, this one level is all about doing those incredibly narrow jumps that pretty much everyone hates. If anything, you did that into the first level of this chapter, so why do you have to do it again here? And in the walls, it's incredibly easy because you just have to stand on the side of the wall where there's no saw blades, but yeah, instead of doing those incredibly narrow jumps twice, you have to do it 6 times, and well, it's really a pretty lazy level if you ask me. I've never figured out the proper strategy in order to beat this level. I don't know, this is one level that I feel is beaten entirely by luck because you pretty much have to jump whenever all of the rocket launchers have shot and then you cross to the other side, but it can be pretty hard to do the timing right. More so considering that you have 3 rocket launchers to contend with and you pretty much need to make them all shoot at the same time if you want to cross the gap. This level does an incredibly good job of looking incredibly deceptive, if only because it doesn't look all that hard, but trust me, it is, because those jumps are incredibly hard to do. You have to master the art of doing wall jumps and then finally coming to a complete halt whenever you're jumping on a block, otherwise, this happens, no! That really wasn't the best way to go, but here we go. We're gonna do it again, but with far less stupid, because yeah, I was kinda careless considering that I decided, oh, I have to do wall jumps no matter what, even though this doesn't make me gain time or do anything other than look cool, so I don't know. Yeah, this is the lesson, kids. Never showboat whenever the things that you have to do are already hard enough. All in all, a pretty simple but fun level and a pretty satisfying way to end this chapter. as a whole, it's been kinda average because some levels were far better than other and other were simply awful, especially the digging stages. But in overall, definitely not a bad chapter. It's worth checking out. And that'll be it for Butcher Boy. Coming up next, our first alternate character chapter of the game, Sewers of Goo by Team Meat.